What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lopes Last podcast. It has been quite a while since I've been able to upload. Thank you guys so very much for your patience. We tried to upload last week. I had some audio issues. Unfortunately, it's a pattern here, whether due to technical issues or just stupidity on my part, or both. Unfortunately, the multiple hours that Dan and I recorded last week went just kind of had to go in the garbage. It was useless. Nobody could hear Dan. It was unfortunate. But this week I have spent hours figuring out exactly what to do and exactly how this is going to sound, and I have tested everything. And everything sounded great on multiple records. We just spent the last half an hour recording, just shooting the breeze, just to make sure everything would stay and be good, and everything sounds great. So if I swear on everything that I love, if there's more audio issues, I'm gonna lose it. But for now, Dan Lindsay is back. Unfortunately, you're not here next to me, Dan, as we normally are. But of course, for those of you who missed it, I did just recently move back home to Florida. So unfortunately, Dan is now a long distance relationship that I have, and we're just gonna have to work it out here. But Dan, thank you so much for coming on. You're wearing the WWE themed hat, which can only mean
You know
one
what tonight
thing.
is.
That means that there is a pay-per-view or a premium live event now this weekend. Bash at Berlin in, you guessed it, Berlin, Germany, because that's what it's called. They really did a great job marketing that, considering Berlin is in the name. And that's going to be this upcoming weekend. Followed, it also, I don't think this, maybe it is in England. I don't know where it is, but followed the next day by NXT No Mercy, both this weekend. So very exciting stuff. But today we're just going to talk about Bash in Berlin. And 5 matches on the card so far, Dan. Dan, which match are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I thought this whole time this was Bash in Berlin in Texas. You know, there's a Berlin, Texas. So
Is there a
I'm
Berlin,
totally just
Texas?
like,
Oh.
no, totally kidding, totally kidding. I'm gonna hard. I think I have a tie for the matches. I'm looking forward to the most. Tie is between the strap match between Punk and McIntyre, just because McIntyre. I think I say McIntyre all the time. It's McIntyre. Just because that blood feud has been great. We're finally getting the second match between these two, likely a third match, depending on how this one goes. But I just feel like this is gonna be a fun series of 3 matches, maybe more. But I feel at least in the short term, definitely a nice just trifecta match between these two. I honestly don't even care who wins. We'll talk about that more. But a tie between that match and Gunther and Randy Orton, just because of Randy Orton. Like, I mean, I like Gunther. We've talked about him more. You've helped me to kind of come to appreciate what he's done as a body of work as a whole. Basically, rising through the ranks of WWE with NXT UK, then NXT, and now in WWE Raw, and dominating. I mean, he's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. Um, so I mean, I also hear he's the reason you're boycotting some certain things too. But
No, not Gunther. Gunther's good. No, Ilya Dragunov is why I'm boycotting. Yes.
okay. Well, it's related though. It's related.
Eh.
But yeah, but I mean, with him, just really appreciate what he's done. Really looking forward to seeing what kind of reign he has. If it's a long one, if he's a couple different title reigns, what it is. Randy Orton, his whole shtick has been going for number 15. I want number 15. He wants number 15. And I mean, we said, I think the last time we did picks for PLE, um, it's WWE has done a really good job at making you think, or making it pretty apparent who probably is going to win a match, but doing enough to make you think also there's a good chance someone else, the opponent, could actually do it. I go back to Gunther Damien. They built that really well, where we thought they might struggle building that, and they built it well. To where I was like, some things go right. Damien might actually pull this off, and then, we all know what happened there. Where Finn interfered and ensuring Gunther would win in a way, or that Priest wouldn't at least. More the point there. And I'll get more into my reason is with that pick too. But I mean, I think it's. I feel at least 3 of the matches on this card could go either way. I think you could argue, or at least two matches could at least go either way for sure. Um, as far as who's going to win, I think it's just been booked well. Promos have been good. The stories have been good as always. I think we were worried about what a post Roman Reigns title reign would be like in WWE, and I feel it's kind of been like Triple H is like, hey, remember that story we've been telling really good with them, and still are telling with them. Well, we're floating that more into more and more into all the titles, into all the other stories, and just building a good undercard. I forget who I was listening to. It was either Van Vliet or not Sam. I forget which podcast I was listening to the other day, but to where um, the struggle of like a lot of most of John Cena's time in WWE was a bad undercard. Attitude Era had a pretty decent undercard. During that and a little bit before, had a really good undercard. A lot of Cena's time in WWE didn't, and we haven't had that in a long time. And now we're finally getting back to, hey, this is a talented roster. WWE wants to boast that it has the best roster in the world, or darn near close. But it's like, hey, we have as good as roster as anybody. If somebody else says it, we can go toe to toe with them, and it's just more and more proof. I feel every month. Sometimes a lot of stories. Things are planted towards like I feel like they may not always catch it in, or it's like, hey, we'll plant this here just in case we want to pull on that thread down the road in a month or two, and then when they do, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that from a couple months ago. So that all said, I'm looking forward to Orton and Gunther just as much as the strap match. Both I think are going to be electric matches. I think this is a decent card. I feel like we've looked at some PLEs too, where, and at least in my opinion, where I'm like, okay, that's an okay card, but the matches are still really good. So I don't want to set my expectations really high. This isn't a SummerSlam or WrestleMania, obviously. But at the same time, it's going to be, we're going to have two really, really good quality matches, and I think the other matches will still be good in their spots. So, I mean, I still have faith in H, even though I look at that card, I'm kind of like, this is an interesting card.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, definitely Gunther and Randy Orton is the match I'm looking forward to the most. Um, I love the story that they're telling. I loved, and we talked about Gunther quite a bit. Obviously, you mentioned it earlier how obviously I tried to kind of show you the body of work of Gunther. I love him. He's one of my favorite wrestlers today, and maybe even ever. I mean, he's that up there for me. But yeah, I love that they're mentioning it. It kind of stunk last time that the match ended in a bit of controversy. Obviously, Randy's shoulders weren't quite down, and whenever those things happen, you kind of have to make the best with what you have. And I'm glad that they're actually starting to mention that. Like Randy said, "Hey, did you really beat me? Did you really beat me? I don't think you did." And what I love about Gunther is, he's not the standard WWE, and I'm going to use the PG term here, chicken crap heel that they're famous for, like a Dominic would be, right? Mm-hmm. Where like every time something bad happens or the good guys come in, oh please no, like, and they're running away or they're attacking people from behind or they're cheating to win or whatever. Gunther doesn't do that. Gunther is all business, and his response to this was the perfect Gunther response, which is, I'm here to restore honor to the sport. That's what he always says, right? Well, it's not honorable to not win clean or to cheat. It's not honorable to do that. So him not beating Randy clean makes Gunther upset. It doesn't. He's not like a like somebody like what an Ethan Page would do, where he's just like, I'm just better than you. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, but you cheated and the ref, you didn't pin me and you grabbed the tights. I'm just better than you. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Like, Gunther's not doing that. He's saying, no, you're right, Randy. This is the biggest regret of my career, that to earn that, I didn't beat you properly. Now I'm going to beat you properly, and that way nobody can say that. Nobody can even make a remote excuse that you could possibly beat me. And that's what I love about Gunther. He's not the same as all these other, heels that we have. So that's definitely the one that I'm looking forward to the most. So I definitely love that for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's just been so many good things about Gunther, and just and so many heels will have like or multiple heels, and I'm thinking more of the Bloodline here, but others have too, where it's like um, they'll have their little faction or whatever, or sidekicks or whatever, and they're always just helping them out or doing something. And but when it comes, and not saying that there haven't been moments for Gunther as well there, but I feel they're fewer and far in between, and they're definitely not on PLEs. The
Yeah.
big moments. It's like I got this, and we know he has it, and I think that's great too. It's like he doesn't need. I'm gonna probably say name the wrong guy. He doesn't need who's the guy? They split him. So who's
Kaiser.
he doesn't? Yeah, Kaiser. Thank you. Yeah, I was definitely thinking the wrong one. He doesn't. He has Kaiser there, but I feel like Kaiser's kind of in his own stories here and there, but still kind of helps out Gunther. Always, usually announces him and stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not like he's not leaning on him like someone we all know and love.
For sure.
And Roman and Solo. But yeah, it's or Solo and Jacob now, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the first PLE that we haven't had a bloodline match
Ever? No. There,
this year?
1996. I don't think there was a bloodline match, to tell you the truth. No. This year,
Or since Mania at least, but I feel like because well,
no, I
we didn't
don't.
have one, no, we didn't have one at Chamber, did we?
Well, that was before WrestleMania.
Right.
But I think with the pay per view after WrestleMania, I don't think there was, because I don't think like Roman wasn't around.
Right. And Solo hadn't really.
Jay's not in
Well,
the bloodline, so Jimmy had already been kicked out, and I don't
yeah.
think the bloodline had a match
No,
at that
because
point. So I
it would
don't
just
think
been
so.
because at that time it would have just been Solo and
In Tamatonga, yeah,
Tama.
yeah,
I forget which who came first now.
yeah. No, it was
Tama Tonga.
Tamatonga, and then
But doing that just was a mess with us.
yeah, I think it was the next pay per view that they did that 6-man, and then Tonga Loa showed up, or maybe it was just
Yeah.
a normal tag.
But yeah, okay. So this is probably the second since. Okay,
Yeah,
so the
I think it
second
was
since
the
me.
second.
But
And we could be
I
wrong.
think that's
It could be
nice.
wrong. Yeah, no, it is nice.
Somebody fact check us.
Yeah, and you know what? I find it interesting because people are gonna say causation, not correlation. I think it's more correlation, but this is the first time that we haven't had a bloodline match in a while, and people are saying this is an underwhelming card, right? And so it's
Yeah.
and again, I don't think it's causation. I think it's
Right.
just kind of a happenstance, but
Yeah.
that's one of those stories that I mentioned.
We're in the lull of a lot of storylines. I feel like right now,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little surprised that we, I mean, I don't mind that we got Uncle Howdy and Chad on Monday night last night.
I thought it was perfect, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't
thought
watched
it
it
was
in full,
awesome.
but I know I've caught some highlights of it. It looked really good. I need to catch that in full. So I was kind of hoping that would land on the card, but I'm fine with it not being the card. I don't think it's a PLE worthy story just yet. It's really close. But I don't. I mean, it's like, and it's nice though. It's nice to have. Hey, we have good stories across the board. We have good undercard. Um, it's being the undercard being built up again and stuff. Uh, so yeah, something like that's a card like this is going to happen where you have you have 3 championships being defended. But it's nice because we haven't seen women's tag champ being defended since Money in the Bank. No,
Not on paper.
Clash in the Castle.
Not on
Yeah,
paper.
the last PLE that we've had was Clash in the Castle. That's where the whole union won it. So I think that's nice. I think it's nice that we're not seeing the same 3-4 people on the card every time.
Right.
We're going to see Cody in the card every time just because he said he wants to defend it, and that's one of those lulls. That's one of those storyline lulls right now for me personally. I'll talk about that more. It's fine. The mixed tag I think is a nice spot of with that story, with those 2 stories right now, but where do we go from here in that one? So I mean, so I'm fine where some stories are, but yeah, I think it's just a natural. It's just happens to be a lull somewhat underwhelming card, but I think we'll still get good quality matches out of most of these matches.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well, let's start with the women's tag championship match that we just discussed. As Dan mentioned, the Unholy Union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, the current champs, taking on the former champs once again in another rematch. I think this is the second rematch that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill get, because I think they had one on SmackDown where Blair Davenport interfered. I'm pretty sure. Somebody can fact check me if I'm wrong, but I'm
That's
almost
right.
100% sure. And that is obviously Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. I don't know if they have a specific name to their team
No,
yet.
I don't think they've been
And
given.
so if there is, then I don't know what it is. And obviously Dan just said he doesn't think so. So he doesn't know what it is either if there is one. So but yeah, so that's the match. I don't know. I highly doubt that it opens the show just because you got two world title matches. I assume one of them will open and one of them will close. But
Right.
this is probably going to be the second match on the card. That's normally the way that it's worked. Is the women's tag's the second match on the card, for better or for worse. That's the way it's been. So that's my guess. But I know for me, um, you know, as much as I love Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and in my opinion, they should have kept these titles well past when they lost them. And just kind of had it be like, oh, this was an unstoppable duo. The only team that could beat them was themselves, where like Bianca turns on Jade or Jade turns on Bianca, and then they have their feud and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the way that they chose to go. But as much as I think, as much as I like um, the that team, I actually think I would have Unholy Union retain again, because I think that they are setting up for War Games. I think that
Oh.
they are going to do the Unholy Union, Blair Davenport, and then one other lady versus Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Naomi, and one other whoever. Right?
Right.
I don't
Right.
think you're going to do Damage Control. I don't even know if Asuka's going to be back in time for War Games. So, you can't do. I'm assuming you can't do Damage Control. My guess, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm starting to hear rumblings that Charlotte's gonna come back around the time
I've
of
heard
War
November.
Games.
Yep, I've heard
So if
November.
that's the case, that is an easy slot you into the War Games match person
Hmm.
that's come back from injury. Charlotte's the fourth on this team, and then whoever you want. Now I think technically Charlotte is a SmackDown superstar. I think.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, she
right.
is.
So that would work out perfect, in my opinion. Now, who knows if that's the way that they're going to go? That's just my pure speculation. I don't hear anybody talking about that part right now. So that's just all my own story in my head. So I think I would have the Unholy Union retain here, and plus, for me at least, that is a team that's got long-term potential, right? Not to say that Bianca
Right.
Belair and Jade Cargill individually don't. Of course they do. That would be ridiculous for me to say that. But as a team, I don't think Bianca and Jade are going to be together for 10 years. The Unholy Union may be together for the next 10 years. Now I don't know if they will be for the next 10 years, but
Yeah.
for at least in
Well,
the
and
near future, they're going to be together. They're going to be a tag team. They're not going to break up. They're not going to do a feud. Not going to do any of that. So I would actually
right.
like to see more teams that have long-term staying power in the women's tag division, so that you can get teams like the Usos or the New Day that have been around for so long as a team and they never split up, so that there's a kind of stable team that's always there in your division. So that's why I'd have the Unholy Union retain here. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been. I don't think it makes sense to have Jade and Bianca win right here. To me, it's kind of like weird to pick against two powerhouses.
Yeah.
um, so and I mean, I think that was nice that Clash where you had a third team, so you could have a little extra fun to get the titles off of Jade and Bianca so quick, and put them on someone like Unholy Union. I'm pretty sure Unholy Union has been together for. Well, I mean, they were in NXT for a little while. They were the NXT Women Tag Champ, NXT Women's Tag Champions, and so when that title dissolved, I thought it was kind of a nice touch that they actually got this title.
Yep.
So I'm with you in the long term thing. I think that's kind of what we're doing. It's like we are trying to build a women's tag division, and we have Damage Control, kind of. So it's in other teams, we obviously have Sonya Deville, former the team. I forget they have a name that I don't remember off the top of my head right
I don't
now.
remember either. Yeah.
But that's a fairly new tag team faction. Because there's three of them. Yeah, to me, it's kind of like how do you get to have them Unholy Union retain? But I think that's, I'll let Triple H tell us that. But yeah, I agree with you there. They'll probably retain. I think I'm hoping that we'll start to see the cracks in the partnership between Jade and Bianca start to split here. Again, whoever turns heel. 'Cause I feel we gotta start lining up some opponents for Nia here soon.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have them. We can't have her dancing around with Tiff and Pretty Deadly every other Friday.
Yeah, that's gonna drive me nuts. All right, so then the mixed tag match. I have a lot of things to say about this one. So you got the Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley and Dominic. Oh boy. Um, All right, I'm gonna just start that.
Second
over.
match in, and we've gone off the rails.
Horrible. Okay, we're gonna start that over. All right, so the next match on the card that we're gonna talk about here is the mixed tag match. So you got the Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest versus the new It couple, I suppose, in WWE, Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. It is. Again, I have so many things to say, so I will actually let you go first here, Dan, because I do not want to just spend the next 10 minutes talking without letting you say what you want to say about this first. So, who's going to win? What are your thoughts about this?
I honestly am not really sure to go with this match. My biggest thought is like, I hope this is like I have a feeling it's not gonna be. But I hope this is kind of like a one and done mixed tag match, and we somehow separate at least Dominic and Damian Priest. On paper, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley should crush these two.
Yeah.
Because it's Damian Priest, former World Heavyweight Championship, not that long ago, and Rhea Ripley. Probably one of the brightest stars on the women's roster, if not the brightest.
Yeah.
And now they're both faces, which the crowd really loved. Has always liked both of them anyway. So I mean, I think it's nice. This match I think is just gonna be that perfect exclamation point on like these are totally some future faces for you here on the Raw roster. And I'm borrowing this from someone else too. But Dominic like turned even more heelish when he sided with Liv finally.
Ultra heel.
But I mean, going back to what you were saying earlier was like you just need his type of heel. We don't get very many ultra heels these days. I feel like Brock was for a little while, but even that kind of tapered off. I know there's been others. I just can't think of the top of my head, but just like super ultra, maybe early on Randy Orton. But it's and I think Gunther is probably in that discussion too, in a different way, obviously. But yeah, I'm just like, on paper, the Terror Twins should win this match, but Dominic and Liv have the rest of Judgment Day, who's like it's like 10 people deep now, right? I know it's not that, but it's weird how it's how like Carlito's like still kind of there.
Yeah, I don't know why he's there, but he is.
He is. I think they're gonna. I'm hoping they kind of work that into the LWO stuff that they kind of tease on Monday a little bit. Which Dominic got the pin over his dad again on TV. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to file that under one of those threads they're not going to necessarily pull in right now, but they could come WrestleMania time or when he wants to retire.
Yeah. Yep.
Which we talked about a few podcasts ago. When we were talking about, I think Mania stuff maybe. I forget, or Road to Mania stuff. I forget which. Mm-hmm. Anyway, my back and forth in this discussion right now is kind of where my mind has been on this. Back and forth in this, but. I think Dominic and Liv win this. I think ultimately it's Liv that pins Rhea. Um, actually, no. My thought earlier today. Sorry, I'm gonna reverse that. I'm gonna say Dominic actually pins Damian, but it's because Rhea's trying to knock Liv off the ropes or whatever, off the ring, and she ducks and she hits Damian, and that just allows Dominic to pin Damian because nowhere in there will there ever be a singles match where Dominic Mysterio actually beats Damian Priest clean. It's
Yeah.
gonna require shenanigans up to wazoo, and
Yep.
that's what a match like this has written all over it. I'm sure we'll get at least Finn, maybe poor JD out there as well at some point, but to kind of help and whatever. But yeah, some kind of miscue between Damian and Rhea leads to one of them being pinned, and I'm just gonna say the miscue is gonna come from Rhea accidentally kicking Damian. Dominic covers him, and 1, 2, 3, there we go. I'm kind of hoping that separates all of these people. I mean, I think you can go back to Rhea Liv multiple times, or at least a couple other times, very quickly. But I think as a story as a whole, um, I'm kind of hoping to separate because I think what we really, really want here is Damian and Finn. It's what we really want is Damian and Finn here. But I mean, I could see this somehow spilling over to Bad Blood somehow maybe where we don't get Finn and Damian until Survivor Series or the Saudi PLE in November as well.
Mm.
Um, maybe we get that as soon as Bad Blood, but I feel like Bad Blood's gonna have a lot of gnarly matches where that
Oh
one's
yeah.
not gonna quite fit in
Yeah,
yet.
for sure.
Maybe who knows? We'll have a little time here. Well, they'll have a good 5-6 weeks to tell a story if they want to get to that one with Bad Blood. But yeah, I'm picking the Judgment Day representation over the Terror Twins here, and just kind of hoping we get a little separation in the stories so we can get to Damien and Finn.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'd say that's most likely going to be the majority of what people are going to think is going to happen. Is Dominic and Liv go over with some shenanigans? As you said, there's no way that Dominic beats Damien without a bunch of shenanigans. And also at this point, I don't think Liv is beating Rhea without a bunch of shenanigans. I don't think anybody's beating Rhea without a bunch of shenanigans. I mean, it's literally
Right.
she up until SummerSlam, she had not been beaten in any capacity in like a year and a half or 2 years or something. Like she hadn't been pinned for any
Right. Right.
reason. So like she is in that same boat, regardless of who she's facing. She is so dominant that it's hard to picture anybody just beating her clean either. However, I'm gonna buck the trend, and I'm gonna give you my reasons as to why I'm gonna buck the trend. And this is coming from the person who always says, and I've said it multiple times on this channel, to you, on camera, off camera, whenever there is a new faction, a new team, a new whatever, especially if they're a bad guy, if you have a new heel turn, the bad guys always got to win their first match. It's stupid if there's a big heel turn and the first match they go out there, they get their butt kicked. There's no, then their character's dead in the water, all that stuff. I understand. I've said that so many times. But I'm going to give my reasons as to why this particular time against this particular opponent and this particular team is the exception. It's not the rule, it is the very, very, very rare exception.
There's always an exception to the rule. Always.
Exactly. Reason number one, technically, Dominic never actually turned heel, and neither did Liv. They were already both bad guys before this match started. If anything, you just turned Damien and Rhea babyface, not the other way around. You didn't. It wasn't like. It wasn't like Rhea and it wasn't like Dominic and Rhea were a babyface like couple, and then Dominic turned his back and went to a bad, went to the Judgment Day, and he wasn't in it before. It's not like that. They were already a bad guy team. They were already there. Everybody already hated Dominic. They just hate him more now. So it's not a true heel turn per se.
Right.
However, I've also said when new teams form, they should win their first match to solidify their team. Yes, technically speaking, this is a new roster to the Judgment Day. But it's not a new team. The Judgment Day has always been there. It's just that they have swapped out Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest for Carlito and Liv Morgan. That's basically what they did, right? That's essentially the difference. Now, if this was a one-on-one match with Finn and Damian, and that's the first match you did, I would say Finn would probably need to win. Because he's the new leader of the team, right? He's the new bad guy. You got to put him over. If that was the first match they did. But this is a kind of set-up tag match to things that are bigger that are going to happen down the road. We all know this. I know this. You know this. WWE knows this. Everybody who's got a pair of eyes and knows anything about wrestling knows this, right? So for me, I actually think you put the Terror Twins over. I think Damian and Rhea fight off the entirety of the Judgment Day. They get their win, and you can have Rhea pin Liv, whatever, or you could have Damian pin Dominic. I'd say it's probably more likely just have Damian pin Dominic. There's no stakes to it. Everybody knows Damian would beat Dominic. It doesn't matter. There's no stakes to it.
Right.
And in that instance, there's multiple ways to continue a feud. One, you have the bad guys win, and the babyface now has to get their win to ultimately put the good guys over at the end of the feud. Or number two, you have the good guys win, and the bad guy can't let it go, a la Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Seth couldn't let it go. He kept attacking Cody. Cody kept trying to move on, and he kept on attacking him, and kept on attacking him, and kept on attacking him. And I think that you could just very easily do that. You could have Damian and Rhea say, hey, we beat Dom and Liv. Boy, did that feel good. And then they just continue to get involved in Damian and Rhea's matches, and so they can never get it. And then finally you do a War Games match with them in it, maybe, or maybe you just do the blow-off between Damian and Finn. Whatever you want to do. So I think in this instance, it is the exception. Even though technically this is a new heel turn, even though technically this is a new team, there's reasons for me to say, you know what? I actually think it makes more storyline sense to put Damian and Rhea over now, and then down the road, you put Finn over. Because I think, for crying out loud, I'm going to go off on a very small 30-second tangent here.
Okay, starting the clock now.
Okay, so in the 2014, 15, 16, in that area of my life, Finn Balor was my guy. If you'd have asked me who my favorite wrestler on the planet was, I would have still said Keith Lee. But in WWE, it was Finn Balor. He was the guy. And he has never gotten a fair shake. Never. I want to see Finn as a bad guy in the main event on Raw, either separated from the Judgment Day or as the leader of the Judgment Day, and just have him actually get a world title run at some point before he... Listen, the guy's 43 or something. He's not
Doesn't
young.
look like it.
Oh, no, he does not. But
like...
he's still... But the point is he's got less years ahead of him than he does behind him. You're going to do it now, or you risk literally at any time him having a back injury, and at that age, I don't care how good he looks. Back injuries at 40-something years old are hard. They're difficult to figure out. So, that's my little tangent. I'm sure that went 45 seconds instead of 30. I apologize, but
I didn't actually do a timer.
I would. Okay. Like I said, I think Finn should go over at some point. Maybe as the demon, maybe not. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. But I think right now for this match, to me, everybody's gonna say, yeah, Judgment Day should win, and then more momentum goes, and then Damian and Rhea just want more revenge. But for me, if they don't win this match, where do they go? What did they just... Well, I didn't want to face those guys anyway. I want to beat up Finn. Well, you couldn't even beat up Dominic. Dominic sucks. You know what I mean? He
true.
sucks. So, you have no claim to face me. Or, to me, they have to win, and Finn has to take it personal. That's my opinion. So we'll see what happens. But so what do you think about that?
I honestly like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. You still get your your newly formed team and a turn. I think to kind of keep with your rule, it's like a turn happened. It's more a face instead of a heel,
Mm.
and a new team is there. Even though they've been always kind of called the Terror Twins, but I guess. But yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that happens now, just because
Yeah.
you know that might almost be a better way to lead into an eventual Damian Finn. And you just said it a second ago too. I really hope that this does lead somehow into getting Demon Balor back somehow, because that's just such an amazing visual.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's been long enough since it was put down by Roman to where I feel like it comes back and it means something again. It's like maybe they have three matches where you know um, Finn wins weird, shenanigans, but then Damien gets his rematch and he gets over there, and then the third match is like, you ain't beating the demon, and we
Nope.
can reestablish the demon.
Yeah.
And I feel with Damien's aesthetic, I think would fit well versus the demon there. So I hope that's how we get it back.
Fair enough. I mean, me too. Me too. Well, alrighty. That brings us to the strap match that was made a couple of weeks ago at the behest of CM Punk. He challenged Drew McIntyre specifically to a strap match. And Drew McIntyre, obviously, because he is a man, accepted. And so we're going to have a strap match: CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Dan, I think we both know who's winning this match just based
Do
on.
we?
I mean, I think just based on pure mathematics, I know who's winning this match. Now, granted, I guess you don't have to do math for this, but for me, I know who I think's gonna win. It makes the most
I,
sense for me. But who do
you
you think's gonna
you
win?
just said something about Cody and Seth. Their trilogy of matches I hadn't really thought about before, to where Rollins could never let it go that it kept losing to Cody. And I almost wonder if could they go this direction with Punk and McIntyre? I'd like to think no. I'd like to think math is right, because we want to get a third match between these two. I think as soon as they announced Bad Blood, and I think this was announced before they even had their special referee match. I'm almost positive it was.
Yes, it was
As soon as Bad Blood was announced, I'm like, give me Punk, give
Punk
me
McIntyre.
Drew, give me a steel cage with these two, or Hell in a Cell, whatever.
Yeah,
Um, you know, that is, to me, that is the main event of that match between these two. These two deserve to have a main event, and that main event be Bad Blood in Atlanta. I'm not going, but in Atlanta, and so it's so to me, we're getting a third match no matter what between these two. And I would like that match to be for bragging rights, for Drew's won a match, Punk's won a match. We've built up our stipulations well here. We've gone from a special referee to not quite steel cage, but still a pretty brutal type of match here between a strap match. To where I think it can at least tell in a cell. So my pick from the other day was Punk. I'm going to stick with Punk again. I think this is where you're going with the math part. Um, Punk's kind of have to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they give Drew the win and paint it more like Punk keeps pursuing him, and then he pursues him one more third time, and is like, well, I guess I just can't beat this guy. But I don't think that's what they're going to do, because Punk's got to win the bracelets back.
yeah,
Give the man his bracelet. Is the real
yeah,
one.
for sure. Yeah, no, that's exactly where I was going with it. I have CM Punk winning this. You got to have a third match. The series has to be tied 1-1. Now, there's obviously other reasons, right? My opinion is, if you go back to the SummerSlam match, what they did was they had it to where you could have ended the feud right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Drew could have gone over. Punk could have tucked his tail between his legs and realized he's not the man he used to be and move on. He could have. You could have done that. But then you had Drew take the bracelet back off of Punk, which right there meant Drew may say whatever he wants, that this is over, that he beat Punk, he doesn't want anything to do with him. If that was true, he wouldn't have taken the bracelet. He would have just walked away. So what Punk said in his promo a few weeks ago on Raw was exactly correct, which was, you say that you're done with me, but you're obsessed with me. You took my bracelet. You didn't have to do that, so that means you still want me in your life, basically. Like, you still need this. And so I think that in this match, you have Punk win. You have Punk take back the bracelet. Because for better or for worse, this bracelet is like the Horcrux, right? Or the Horcrux, whatever it's called from Harry Potter. Horcrux, whatever.
Yes,
Sorry, I'm not a big... I'm a little bit of a Harry Potter. I like
when you corrected yourself, I was like, yeah, you're the second one's the right one.
Yeah, so the Horcrux, right. So it's like the Horcrux. Like, once it's destroyed, then everything's okay, right? Like, once Punk takes back the bracelet, that will, at least in Punk's head, be like, now we're done, right? But that's not how Drew McIntyre works. Like, that's not how it works for Drew. So if Punk wins, Punk takes back the bracelet. Punk can go, look, now we're done. And then Drew attacks Punk again, and then they just keep redoing it. And then at that point, then it's, all right, this feud has gotten way too out of hand.
We have to contain it.
Hell in a Cell. Like, that to me just makes the most logical sense. Because now it's not about a stupid bracelet. No offense to AJ or Larry. It's a bracelet that means a lot to Punk. So it's not a stupid bracelet, but in the minds of the fans, it's like you're beating each other to death over a bracelet. You could just spend $9 and get another one. But it is a little silly. But
I mean, he had a lot of fans give him bracelets at FanFest and some other things. And
exactly.
He was like, thanks everybody, but you still got the real one.
Yeah, it's like the real one. I spent $45 making this. Like
specialized diamond-crested beads and something in the middle that you will never know.
I sure hope
vibranium inside of them and.
Good Lord, I sure hope nobody did that. But regardless, I think it just makes the most sense. Punk goes over here in the match that he asked for, in the match that he really brought back to life in AEW, sort of. And it was really a dog collar match, which is not the same, but reasonably close. But I think
that match sounds so much better.
Oh, a dog collar match is brutal, man. You're tied to one another.
But the sound, the name of strap match over versus a dog collar match, the aesthetic of the name of the match sounds better than.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I got Punk going over. So we both are in agreement on that. So that's good. I think.
So I'm actually looking up right now too. It's like, when was the last time WWE had a strap match?
I remember a strap match with Punk in it. I think it was he facing Rey Mysterio back in like 2008. That's the last one that I remember. I think it was against Punk. It was either that or it was against Hardy, Jeff Hardy.
Apparently Drew and Karrion Kross had one back in 2022 at Extreme Rules.
Did they really? I have zero memory of that at all.
Why can't these be in order? Orton and Dusty Rhodes had one 2007.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that completely. Yeah.
Cena and Rusev had one.
Yes, that's right.
These are strap matches. This one looked like it had a chain, so I'm saying strap in air quotes here.
Gotcha.
Brock and Undertaker back in 2003. Wow. Punk and Umaga 2009.
Was it really Umaga that I was thinking of? My goodness.
Dusty and Superstar Billy Graham. Loomis and Cameron Grimes. I'm just reading. So I wish this is in your order. Batista and JBL. That was a bull rope match, technically though. Yeah. A lot of these are bull rope matches.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, those aren't. Yeah. So the strap match is when you have to touch all four sides, all four turnbuckles. And I think the last one that I can remember is the one with Punk. I thought it was against Rey or Jeff Hardy. I guess it was against Umaga that I was thinking of. And that was the last one that I could recall where they had to touch all four corners. And everybody was like, how's Punk going to win? He's got to drag Umaga all around the ring and get that face. So, yeah. But anyway, so that makes sense. And again, Hopefully it leads to Hell in a Cell. It better lead to Hell in a Cell, or else I'm not going to really be sure what's going on here. So
Yeah. And one more thing I want to hear too. What would be fun I think here too to get this feud from off of these two to transition to Rollins, or maybe not. This wouldn't even have to do a transition from this to Rollins, but cut. I don't know. I want a triple threat between Drew and CM Punk and Rollins at some point, and I'm hoping that somehow like come maybe Rumble. Maybe that's a triple threat between those three for number one contendership for the World Heavyweight Championship or something.
yeah, that would be good.
So I think all three of those need to be in a ring together just to let them all go out. And I'd kind of go call back to the special referee match, and then, you know, Drew takes the pin so you can get him out of the picture. Then you can go into Seth and or Drew wins, honestly, maybe even there. But
Yeah.
then you can go into Seth and Punk, and kick off that one that we were waiting to open for last year that didn't happen. That has been worth the wait. That hopefully we get at this year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, that would be good. I'd love to see a triple threat. I think right now you probably want to just transition to Seth versus Punk, um, in my opinion. But who knows? Who knows where they're gonna go? But right now, I know we got Punk and Drew, and I'm excited to see that. Hopefully, that eventual Hell in a Cell match that they're gonna be doing here.
Yes. Crossing fingers for that one.
Exactly. All right. So it's usually tradition around here that we end on the WWE Championship match, but I think this time we are going to do it second to last. So WWE Championship match: Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Now, everybody that has watched this kind of fiasco that we do with all this wrestling mumbo jumbo, on this channel knows that I'm obviously a very, very big Cody Rhodes fan. Very outspoken on that. Was in on the We Want Cody stuff on Twitter, which I'm never on Twitter. So the fact that I did it more than once meant that I was with it. Obviously I picked him to win the Royal Rumble when not a lot of other people were. Everybody was saying it was Punk. I stuck with Cody. I stuck to my guns. I was on it. But the other guy that I am a enormous fan of and have been for years is Kevin Owens. I always have believed that Kevin Owens needs another world title run before he retires. He deserves another one. He got absolutely bamboozled in the first one. He ran into the guy that demolished all good title reigns in that time, which is either Brock Lesnar or Goldberg, and he ran into both. He literally ran into Goldberg, but obviously it was because nobody not that nobody, but people in the higher ups didn't want Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar. So it was one of those, which is, by the way, stupid because I would have loved to see that actually.
A lot of us would.
And I think Brock would have liked it too, but it is what it is. So regardless, I think Kevin Owens needs another world title run at some point. I have a Cody Rhodes. I have two Cody Rhodes shirts actually, and I have a Kevin Owens shirt as well that I just received for my birthday. One of my Cody Rhodes shirts generously was given to me by Mr. Dan Lindsay, so thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
And about a day after I received my Kevin Owens shirt, I believe it was literally the day after because my birthday was on a Thursday, and I think it was the 9th of August, where they announced that it was going to be Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to cut these in half and sew them together. Like, what am I gonna do here? This is not good. Not good. Emergency. Abort. Abandon ship. But no. I think it's silly for me to sit here and say that Kevin Owens has a shot at dethroning Cody. I mean, he just doesn't. It's not. It doesn't make sense for the story. It does not make. Cody needs this. I mean, Cody was going to lose the belt before WrestleMania. He was going to lose it to Solo. And he didn't. So it's it's one of those things where at this point it's looking like Cody's going to hold it till Mania. Maybe he loses it to The Rock. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I don't care which way. At that point, I'm not going to care. If The Rock beats Cody, then fine. I'm fine with it. That's fun. I'm not.
You don't want Roman to beat him for it, but you'll have The Rock beat him for it. Okay.
No, because I didn't. Well, I didn't want Cody to not win the thing. Like that Roman beating him would mean he wouldn't win the thing. Like that's totally different. But you know, if Roman even beats him at the Rumble, so that they could do Rock versus Roman for the title at this year's WrestleMania, fine. Cody won the thing. That's all I cared about. And I want him to get a nice title reign out of it. I don't want him to be a transitional champion and lose it immediately. I thought SummerSlam even was a little bit too soon, but I would have understood it. But now that he's got it, he's probably holding it till either WrestleMania or right before. And we'll see. So I think I'm taking Cody here. I think everybody on planet Earth's taking Cody here. And I'm going to say this before I let you go, Dan. I don't know why they keep doing this to me in terms of every time Kevin Owens gets a world title match, there is approximately a 0.0000001% chance he's going to win. Because it just doesn't make... Like, literally the last time he had a world title match was right before we all knew we were getting Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. We all knew it. And the pay-per-view before was Roman versus Kevin Owens. And I even said to my wife, I'm like, he's going to make me want him to win. And I shouldn't want him to win because I know he's not going to. I should not be hoping. Like, there's no reason.
That was the last man standing match, right?
No, that was the Royal Rumble. It was just a normal one-on-one match, and that was the night that Sami hit.
It was the year before that was the last man standing. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so, like, it was always, like, a 0% chance. And this is another one of those things where it's like, dude, there's no way. Like, there's no way he's getting it. I want him to have a world title match where there's actually a conceivable way that he's going to win the dang thing so that I can actually get behind him. Like, we talked a lot about Finn Balor already, right? The way that they did it at SummerSlam, like, yeah, if we had known that Punk was coming back, we would have all said there's no way that Finn's winning at SummerSlam because you got to do Rollins versus Punk, but we didn't know that at the time. So it was 7 years almost to the day that Finn got hurt against the same opponent at the same pay-per-view. Like, if you're going to pull the dang trigger on Finn,
the stars were aligned.
It's right now. Like, I had hope that Finn was actually going to win that match. Now, did he? No, obviously he didn't. But that is an instance where I could conceivably, it makes sense. So I could conceivably sit there and go, oh, I hope Finn wins. And I actually have hope that he's gonna. This is not one of those moments. Kevin Owens has no chance of winning. It doesn't make any storyline sense. The only way it would make any sense is if you turn Kevin Owens full-blown heel and kick Cody in the nards and take the title a la Daniel Bryan a few years ago, where, like, nobody thought Daniel Bryan was going to take the title off AJ, and then he turned heel, and everybody was like, oh my goodness, this is interesting. And then you carry that feud with Kevin and Cody for the next few months. Maybe you do that. That makes sense. But I just don't see it right now.
I think the draft really screwed things up.
In some ways,
because they the draft Cody winning screwed things up because SmackDown almost has the opposite problem they did with Roman. You were running out of faces for Roman to knock off during his reign, and now it's the opposite problem where you just don't have true credible heels to face Cody. So now he's just handing out title shots. They lengthened AJ into 2 matches, which was fine. Both were good matches. To me, this has to be a stepping stone. This is a stepping stone match, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get an additional title match, if not 2 title matches out of it. It's like Kevin Owens keeps getting chances and he can't. He falls up short. But I hope they don't do that kind of a story to Kevin. I think that'd just be a disservice to him. I could kind of go on what you're saying. It's like 0% chance. He had 2-3 shots against Roman, didn't get any of them, of course. We almost seen him on Raw because him and Gunther would be awesome. But I feel like it's kind of one to call Owens, whether it's this match and this is a one-off or a series of matches where Owens still doesn't have the championship at all. I mean, where do you take Owens from this? That's where I'm just like, SmackDown's in a weird spot right now. Um, just because you just had Solo lose to Cody, thanks to Roman, of course. But so I mean, you can wouldn't be surprised if that gets revisited at some point before the end of the year or next year, maybe beginning of next year, even start the year off or whatever. Where he might get one more shot. But I just feel like there's just a weird, a lot of things in a weird spot right now. I kind of would hope that Andrade but I mean, Andrade is kind of more of a face right now because he's working against Carmelo. So it's just like, Knight just buried Santos the other week, so Santos is never going to get a shot at this title. So I mean, it's like you're gonna turn Corbin heel all of a sudden, or Apollo Crews heel all of a sudden, and they get a shot or whatever, or somehow book a fatal 4-way where you just get guys on a PLE just so Cody has an opponent in a different kind of a match, just because Cody said he's defending this title all the time, no matter what. I'm glad we have Cody. I'm glad we have his title reign, but we're running out of opponents quick until we can get Randy Orton in his heel turn. And so I feel like Owens is just a placeholder now. But I mean, I feel you got to get some kind of I'm picking Cody if I haven't already said it, obviously.
Well, yeah, obviously,
I feel like with this match, you almost have to. Cody wins it. Multiple Cody cutters, multiple crossroads. Owens is going to do like 2 or 3 pop-up power bombs on him. What's his other signature move? But so I mean, I think it'll be a brutal match, and then I think at the end of the match, Owens is just going to snap, and he's just going to leave Cody Rhodes a line in the ring right there. He's going to have to be peeled off the mat, and I think that's the perfect way to get to another match between these two. But I think Owens is just a placeholder until we can get Orton coming back and saying, I may not have beaten, or whatever the result of Orton is, if whenever we get down that road, Orton and Rhodes is that match. I think at some point before we get to WrestleMania season, true WrestleMania season. Owens is just a placeholder, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He deserves better. He does.
Better. He does deserve better. See, I think that there's 2 ways you can kind of go with this. I think that you can either, because I guess I'm spoiling my pick, but I think my pick is obvious for the next match. Randy's coming back to SmackDown empty-handed, and I think you can either choose that to be the Randy Orton heel turn time, because that could make sense, where like he's just going after title number 15, he doesn't get it, and he's like, what am I gonna do, and then he just turns and sees Cody, and he's like, well,
you gave Owens a shot, where's mine?
Well, that, or just straight up attack him, like make him do it, right? You could do that, and kind of have Randy be the next couple of pay-per-view matches, which I think everybody would be on board for. I think everybody would buy into that just because of the history between the two. You could do that for a few months, and I think that it would actually work, and it would kind of drum up more interest around that title. Kind of like what you alluded to, there's just not a lot of bad guys for Cody to fight. Like, I don't even necessarily think it's Cody's fault completely. I think it's just...
Oh, no, it's definitely not Cody's fault.
He's carrying himself the way he needs to carry himself, and he's being exactly who he is, and the matches are great. He's controlling what he can control. It's just the material that they have available is just not the best. So I think you can kind of do that. Or if you don't want to turn Randy Orton heel right now, I think the only other thing that you could maybe do is have Randy come back, team with Kevin Owens again, and have them go after the tag belts, because it is on the Bloodline now, and so it's on a heel team, and you could have them kind of try to get the tag belts off the Bloodline. That leaves kind of Roman by himself to try and figure out Solo and Jacob Fatu, and you have Cody help Roman. And then that kind of transitions you into November, into War Games, and you could do a 5-on-5, and your fifth member of the bloodline can be a Hikuleo or a Gorilla or a Zilla Fatu or a somebody that kind of comes along, and there's your new. And then on the other side, you can have your Roman, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, and Sami Zayn. That can work, and I actually would be very on board with that. I would like to see that. I think that would then allow Cody to not have to defend the title, but be in high-profile matches that kind of distract in a lot of ways from the fact that he doesn't have a whole lot of competition for the belt right now. Right. So I think that's probably the way that they should go, in my personal opinion. But if you're wanting to just turn Randy heel and go that way, that is a fantastic option. And I would not mind that at all. But it's hard right now because I think... Because what that would ultimately mean is either you're going to do multiple matches and it's going to be at Bad Blood and Survivor Series. Not exactly the biggest stages in the world. Now, they're not bad, but not exactly the biggest stages for a 10-year story. Just about. Maybe even longer. Probably actually 15 or longer year story that you've told with them. Because I think Legacy was in like 2008 or 2009. So that's about 15 years. Or it's just like a one-off match. And like, I don't want it to just be a one-off like that. You're wasting that story if it's just a one-off. And then where does Randy go? Like, who does he go after at that point? Like, if he doesn't win the belt, if it's just a one-off match, like then you're, in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, the whole landscape of WWE could change. So you never know what's going to happen. But like, if you just did it in like a month from now or a month and a half from now, like,
you could theoretically line up Orton, I think, couple matches to where you culminate maybe the third one at Rumble, and then you move him on to him and Cena in 25.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't really think about that part, to be honest.
But still, I mean, you have 2 matches this year, then you wait till Rumble to have the third. That might be tough though. At the same time, as I say that,
Yeah.
It's and it's just weird. It's just weird right now for Cody. It's like, again, it's not Cody's fault. It's not really anybody's fault. It's just the way it is. Could you foresee like Cody and Cody and Kevin and Randy somehow getting into a triple threat for the title? Just
sure.
just to make a match. Maybe that's a Survivor Series type of match.
Maybe
there.
Yeah. I don't know, but
then it's like, which one of those two takes a pin that the other? It's like, I mean, you really can't hurt either of those two, I feel. But it's just.
Yeah.
It's just weird right now.
It is.
Be better, Santos.
Do you know that he's like in his 40s? Did you know that?
No way.
Dude, I thought he was so much younger. I thought he was going to be like a young up-and-coming, like, one of the next, like, one of the next kind of Hispanic guys to, like, lead that sort of sect of WWE, even though it shouldn't be a sect. Everybody should just be, all...
Yeah, he's 40.
All things equal. He's 4. Oh, he's just 40. I thought he was 41, but, like, he's 40. Like, he's not young either. Like, he's an older guy. Like, I did not know that until a few days ago. I happened to read an article, and it said Santos Escobar 40 or 41, and I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. I did not know that. But yeah, man, like, I don't know what they're doing with poor Santos. That guy's not doing a whole lot. But I mean, hey, listen, you know what I would like to see? If you got nobody else, give me Cody versus Carmelo Hayes at a pay-per-view.
I mean,
I wouldn't mind that at all.
I think you can run that back, no problem. I mean, I think you could, if you wanted to just put a line of, line of guys, down the gauntlet for Cody. I mean, I think you start with, you could do Santos really on a really lame pay-per-view.
Yeah.
and then do Andrade and then do Carmelo. And I think if you needed filler title matches somehow, I don't see what they did with Logan Paul. Oh, actually,
They already
I
did
just
Cody
thought of
versus
something.
Logan Paul. They already did it.
Yeah, but that was just for the U.S. title.
No, that
We
was just
all,
for
we
the
all
no, that was just for the WWE title. They didn't. He didn't. He
That's right.
contractually
That's right. I was
refused
thinking
to
of it.
defend the U.S. title. Yeah.
That's right. I totally got that mixed up.
Yeah.
But I mean, we all know who likes to be on Saudi shows. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Oh
um,
boy. Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'm literally pulling up the if the roster page will work for me. I was literally gonna pull up the WWE roster and just make sure. Am I just forgetting somebody? You know.
Well, you had Bobby Lashley, but he's gone now. That would have been
Yeah.
fun.
I think that's probably one guy. Um, if the Street Profits fall short, do the Street Profits have another shot at the tag titles
I
at
don't
all?
think so. I
Um,
think it's
could turn one of
DIY.
those
I think
could,
DIY gets a rematch next. I think that's what they're
could
doing.
split those guys and turn one of them heel. Yeah, I just or maybe finally split. Actually, I'm just trying to figure out a way guys you can become opponents with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe finally split A Town Down Under and line up Grayson and Apollo maybe.
Or Austin
Um,
Theory, you mean?
yeah, wow, yeah, Austin Theory. Um, yeah, I'm just literally
Yeah, I
looking
mean
through.
you could certainly do that.
You know
Other
who's on the
than
SmackDown roster that we haven't seen since the draft? We haven't seen since this is that strap match maybe with Cody Shinsuke. He's on the SmackDown roster.
oh my goodness, yeah, that's wild. He's probably doing a
Yeah,
lot of surfing. It's good for him, I guess. Making money and just going surfing. I mean, you could have a lot worse life. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
yeah. But I mean, you just did a program. You did a program with him right before, right in early WrestleMania season. So yeah, the opponents are. I mean, essentially, I feel we have to fill to Mania to where Mania is either Cody Randy or Cody Rock.
Yeah. Yep. I
To
agree.
me, that's his two prime opponents at Mania. With one of those two.
Yeah.
Um, and unless because Roman and Solo are so involved with each other that Solo task Jacob Fatu to go after the title, but I don't see that either. Um, I think Santos might have a slightly better chance of getting a title match before Jacob Fatu.
Uh,
Oh, that pains me. I just said those words out loud. Oh, that pains me.
yeah. Well.
We need to move on to the next match.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Well.
almost getting depressed here.
Okay, well, we don't want that. So, all right, last match on the card. I mean, I think we both already know what the picks are going to be here, but let's go over it regardless. For the World Heavyweight Championship, the new champion Gunther defending his title for the first time against Randy Orton. We already talked about kind of the history a little bit, where Randy's shoulders were not fully pinned to the mat at their match at King of the Ring, or not at King of the Ring. Or no, was it King of the Ring? Yeah, it was King of the Ring. I'm stupid.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, the finals of the King of the Ring. Um, and so now Randy has staked his claim for a match against Gunther, and Gunther, being who he is, obviously said, absolutely. You go ahead, Dan. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd be surprised if it's anything other than a Gunther retention. But if it's not, I'd love to hear it. But just let me know your thoughts.
Well, I mean, this is definitely the main event, right? I mean,
I believe so.
it's obvious. I think it's the main event. You're in Berlin. You're basically Gunther territory, home territory there. And I feel either the strap match or the WWE Championship will be the lead of this card. I actually could see the WWE. You could actually see me Cody Kevin being the lead of this card, and the strap match being like the co-main event in a way. Maybe I don't know, but either way, yeah, I think this has to be the main event. I think it'll be a wonderful main event. I think we're going to get Randy tapping into his Legend Killer days. He's already kind of brought that up. I mean, that's what he did. I think this is honestly outside of Brock Lesnar. I think this is the perfect first defense for Gunther because if you don't know what Gunther is capable of, what if you didn't really see his IC matches, like you're going to see what he's capable of and how much of a beating he can take and how much more of a beating he can give. And I think Randy's in great shape to take it from him. I don't think this will be. I think we'll be slow and methodical. I think Randy will get some offense in early. I think he'll pull off a couple of the signature moves or attempts. Um, you know, I'm more of thinking in my head. It's like, do we see Randy RKO Gunther, but Gunther still kicks out of one or two of those? I don't. I think that would just improve that legend even more for Gunther,
Sure.
and definitely still make Randy look so good in the process. Um, I think a longer match would, just aid Randy into whatever story goes to next. Like we were just saying, hopefully going into Cody.
Right.
I think, and like you kind of said, I kind of tipped my hand a little bit too, or it's like, I think Randy losing here feeds well into a story against Cody. Um, maybe even Randy and Kevin, kind of got at it themselves for a little bit for the, who gets the title shot at Survivor Series, and maybe Kevin gets the one up for there, but then Randy, that's just a semi heel turn for Orton will lead to a full turn for Orton. I feel sorry, I just completely messed it up. A semi heel turn for Owens, I think will lead to more of a full heel turn for Orton, and just line that up more for Cody. But yeah, no, I can't think of a good reason to pick Randy here. Partly just because it's brands, you know. But I feel like, as you said, the shoulders at King of the Ring thing. I think, I want to say this is maybe the first time we've really broken brands since the draft, and I think that's the record for the WWE, because
Yep.
usually they break within like the first month.
Yeah.
No, but it's such, a lot of those times it's always been like, oh, this is random, or Bloodline, of course. But I think this makes so much sense in the storyline. They've built this well. Again, Randy's, I think, the perfect opponent for Gunther here. I hope we get a real, and I know we'll get a really good, solid match here. Hopefully a good long match. I want to kind of hoping we kind of see Gunther like shaking a little bit. It's like, wow, I just went to the ringer, but I still survived. I still got my title.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily a handshake at the end of it or whatever, but I think maybe Gunther even respects Randy a little bit. Not that we'll hear him, see him say it or anything like that, but and maybe Randy the same for Gunther, but yeah, I don't see any of the champions losing here in this PLE, and I think Gunther, the odds of Gunther losing, I think, are even less than Cody losing. Like I feel like you could argue at Owens winning the title better than you can argue Orton winning the title. So, go
Interesting.
Gunther.
I actually don't agree with you on that. I think that if you, it's gonna hurt me so much to say, if you're gonna have either Cody or Gunther lose the title, I just think given the opponents, I think at the very least you could say, well, Randy was 15, number 15. That's cool, right,
Yeah.
guys? Isn't that what everybody wanted? And we're like, no.
True.
Like you could
True.
like that's at least an argument to be made. I don't think there is a good argument for Kevin Owens to win the title. I don't think there's a single argument to be made outside of, again, a full blown 100% like heel turn, and you don't have to win the title to do that. So like it's, to me, I think it makes a little more sense for Randy to win if you're gonna have somebody win, but I don't think it makes any sense for Randy to win either. And we're
Yeah.
gonna
No, that's fair enough. Fair enough there.
and I'm gonna go back to what I said about Rhea Ripley and Damian. Right, I said that was the exception. Right, this is Gunther's first doggone title reign. I swear on everything I love, if you built this man up for like 10 years of being the guy that doesn't lose belts, and he loses his belt immediately, I'm gonna die. Like, please don't do that to Gunther or to me. I like being alive, so please don't do that. So Gunther retains. I know you said, oh, maybe he'll think he should go through the ringer. I actually don't. I frankly don't want him to. I actually kind of don't. Not that I don't want this match to be competitive, because that would be a crappy main event to a pay per view of just bang, 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 dead. Like that's not fun. But like I want it to be Randy is in over his head the whole match. And he sneaks an RKO in there, and everybody goes, oh my god, he's going to do it again. And then he doesn't, because Gunther's a Terminator. And then another, 7 or 8 minutes of Gunther just demolishing him. And then another RKO out of nowhere. Like, if it was up to me, truly, if it was up to me, Randy Orton would get 3 offensive moves in this match. A flurry at the beginning, where everybody kind of want, just a few punches. Gunther cuts it off. Gunther dominates. RKO. Gunther dominates. RKO. Gunther dominates and wins. That would be my ideal match right now. Because I think the whole purpose of Gunther having the belt right now, at this point in his career, and at this space in time, is because he is supposed to be your next final boss. And no, I'm not talking about The Rock. I'm talking about, video game. You've beaten everybody. Right. You're really, really good. You have a lot of maxed out equipment. You've got a lot of attributes and special abilities because you've been playing this game for the last 29 hours. And then you hit hour number 30. And you got to face the final boss. And he is unstoppable. He heals quicker than anybody you've ever faced. All your special moves mean nothing to him, and he just puts out these combos that just half your health bar, a quarter of your health bar, a quarter of your health bar, and you're dead. What happened? Oh my god, how am I ever going to beat this guy? That's Gunther. So, for me, if that's what you're going to do, to me, I don't think that you should do the standard, every heel has a hard time winning every title match, and all these baby faces are going to be the one that stops him. No, I actually think the first few matches of Gunther's for this title reign should be like what it was for the IC title. There's no doubt in anybody's mind Gunther's winning, Gunther's winning, Gunther's winning, Gunther's winning, and he kills you. So I think, yeah, don't completely disrespect Randy and do a John Cena versus Brock Lesnar in 2014 where Brock Lesnar just beat the crap out of him for 30 minutes and Cena got a submission hold and one attitude adjustment in. You don't have to do it that extreme, but a flurry at the beginning where Randy does all of his stuff, Gunther runs at him, power slam, DDT, goes for an RKO, eats a chop, takes advantage again, does all the steps on all of Gunther's arms and legs and face and stuff, but then eventually, Randy does something and gets caught, and then that's when Randy's overwhelmed. Randy would have had to have beaten him early, and that's the game plan, and it didn't work, and now Gunther's just going to destroy him for the next 30 minutes, or not 30 minutes, but 15 or 20. That to me, that would make the most sense. Now, obviously, I when it comes to Gunther, I think way too hard about every little nuance of his matches, because even small weaknesses that I see in his character, I'm like, nope, get it out. That's not, nope, I don't like it. Get it out. Did he just breathe heavy? Nope, get it out. Don't that's. I'm weird like that, and I understand that I shouldn't be. It's ridiculous. I'm the only person that cares about that stuff, but that's how I am with Gunther. He's a special commodity. And he was even more special, and I don't know if I've said this on the channel. I think I mentioned this to you off air at the very least, and if I mentioned it on the channel before, I do apologize, but I'm going to do it again. When Gunther came from NXT UK, and he went to SmackDown at the time, they had some kind of talk show segment, I think. It was Miz TV or something, where Gunther went out there, and they made Gunther go on Miz TV. And I'm like, why? They did it with Triple H, but he literally went out there and he goes, do you really think I want to be on your stupid talk show? No, I just came out here to insult you to your face because you're an idiot. That made more sense, but they literally made him sit down in the chair and answer questions about his career and about himself, and why are you so grumpy? Right? And when they got back, the segment wasn't good, obviously. And Vince was like, yeah, nah, I don't see anything in this guy. I'm good. I'm probably just going to, make him some comedy character and make him lose every match. And it's like, do you not watch wrestling at all? Like, when I heard that, I was like, please just protect this man at all costs. Please, like, just anybody but Gunther, please. Like, that was the one where I was like, please, like, you do not understand how. This is going to sound like an odd transition. Brock Lesnar does not come around very often. Ever, really. To be, there's really been 3. Yeah. I would consider Ultimate Warrior one of those guys. He just showed up and dominated people, and everybody loved it. And it was his own thing. Now, he had his weaknesses. He couldn't wrestle for longer than 2.5 minutes. But Goldberg was another one that just showed up and killed people. Brock Lesnar was another one. And Gunther is another one. Those are the only 4. And I might be missing somebody. Somebody let me know in the...
I mean, that big and... I mean, just that much of a human specimen and dominant in wrestling. I mean...
And it's not even that aspect. Because there's been giants that have come along and stunk. But it's their size... And they wrestle a style that no one else wrestles at that time. They innovate. Their matches are different than every other match on the card. The Ultimate Warrior match was the Ultimate Warrior match. The Goldberg match was the Goldberg match. You knew exactly what you were getting. You were going to get speared, you were going to get dumped on your head, and then that was going to be it. The Brock Lesnar was a Brock Lesnar match, at least in his second run. I wouldn't say necessarily there was a Brock Lesnar match in his first run in the early 2000s, but especially since 2011 when he came back, there was Brock Lesnar and then there was everybody else.
City. Yep.
Suplex City. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, that was it. You were either going to get an AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, or you were going to get a Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar. Like, there was no in between. It was either he wanted to be there and it was going to be amazing, or he didn't want to be there. You were going to get F5 9 times, and then you were going to get pinned. And everybody was going to be upset. Like, that was it. There was no in between. And then there's Gunther. His matches are different. His matches do not look the same as anybody else's on the card. There is a reason why after everybody he wrestles, universally across the board outside of a couple exceptions, people have said that is the best match of X's career, or at the very least, that is the best match I've seen insert wrestler here wrestle in years. Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, Riddle, Chad Gable. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. It's because they're facing the same guy, and his stuff is always different than everybody else. And Vince looked at that and didn't understand what he had. And so, like, that was one guy where I'm like, Brock Lesnar's, Goldberg's, Ultimate Warriors do not come around. That's 3 people. And Ultimate Warrior debuted in what? 77? 80 in the 80s maybe?
Yeah,
what I don't know.
That's
45, 50 years. There's 3 of those guys, and now you have the 4th. They don't come around very often. Yep. So if you get that guy, do not by any means let him go. And boy howdy, they almost did. And so now I'm very in here, and in, I know you can't see my heart, but in here, I'm very protective of Gunther's character in my mind, because I watched him on, in the Independents, and I watched him in NXT UK. So this is, it's not like I'm seeing him. I saw him on SmackDown, and I was like, oh, that guy's cool. I'm gonna root for. No, like I saw all, 938 or whatever it was days of UK champion. I saw Pete Dunne beat, I think it was Joe Coffey, I want to say. And then I heard the na-na, na-na, and everybody knew it was Walter. Everybody knew. I was the person that read the article 2 years before Gunther debuted, or maybe it was a year before Gunther debuted, that predicted who was going to beat every person for the title. And the person this writer predicted for Pete Dunne to lose their title to was Walter, and he wasn't even in the company yet. Like, I was that person. And so, like, this is how many years ago? I mean, I'm watching it at the bare minimum in college, which was at least 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. So, like, this is a long time coming for me personally. So I love that Gunther's got his shot at doing what he does best, which is being a final boss title holder. Because look at what's happening with Cody. The chase is always the most interesting part for most wrestlers. It's always infinitely more interesting. Kofi Mania, the Yes Movement, LA Knights Yeah Movement, if you want to call it that. He hates that, but I can't think of another term of it off the top of my head. Like, I can think of so many examples of this. Obviously, we want the hashtag We Want Cody movement. It's always the chase. It's not with Gunther. The best part is when he has the belt. That does not happen ever. So anyway, that's my rant. Yeah. But I'm just very protective of Gunther's character. So forgive the. It's very unreasonable for me to think that a 14-time world champion in Randy Orton is going to go out there and just get his butt kicked for 25 minutes. I obviously know it's probably not what's going to happen. But if I'm booking the show, that's what I'm doing. And when it's time for Gunther to lose and get his butt whipped a little bit, it's time for him to lose and get his butt whipped. But now's not the time, in my opinion, so that's what I would do. But anyway, Dan, go ahead.
Well, I've one thing of interest in I was looking up while you're just singing praises for Gunther because he deserves it. I find it very interesting that he is basically the longest title holder of two major titles in WWE now. One's retired because of the NXT UK. Yep. He never did hold the NXT championship.
Nope. He was never really in NXT.
Yeah, because of NXT UK. Because pretty much when they folded that, they called him up, right?
Yep,
essentially.
Pretty much.
So that's why I didn't get that chance to do that. Otherwise, he'd probably be a long champion there. But so
yeah,
he was
out
for 800.
That would have been devastating for the entire brand if he was just there for like 5 years. Like, none of you will develop. I will murder all of you.
Right. That would have really set everything back. That's not the point of the NXT in a way. But I mean, the fact that he's had 800. I'm looking up right now. 870 days NXT UK champion.
What I say 930? I was close.
And then I'm also looking up I forget how many days IC champion.
666.
It was. I was thinking 70 something, but anyway, yeah. So it's just like
folks, that is 1,500 days. That is 4 years worth of just holding a belt.
Yep.
4 years of having 2 championships. That's insanity. Yep. Yes, Roman had the same amount in one title reign. Well, deal with it. I don't know what to tell you. It's still awesome, okay? It's still awesome.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at I was actually looking at this because I'm curious how long of a gap. So they took the title off of wrong page. Took the title off of Walter at the time. Took the NXT championship off of him from Ilya, but for another year himself. We'll say that for another time.
I'm not even gonna. Don't get me started, man.
We'll say that for another time.
I will say this. Do you have any idea how many people in Adam? Oh my God! No, I keep thinking Adam Silver, the GM of Adam Pearce. How many people in his Twitter DMs were saying, please put Ilya Dragunov in the IC title tournament? Like, half of them. Like, when he tweeted, who do you guys want in this tournament? Half the people were saying Ilya Dragunov. Just put Ilya Dragunov in the dang tournament. I hope he is. I hope he gets it next week.
Also, we don't know the other 2 matches yet, right?
Yeah. No, we don't. Not that I don't know them anyway. I'm not sure. But yeah, no. Please, for God's sakes, just put Ilya on TV and have him win matches. Okay, I'm done. That was it. Go ahead.
But yeah, they took the NXT UK title off of Walter in August of 21, and then it wasn't even. I just had it here. They put the IC title on Gunther in June of 22. So not even.
Not even a year.
Not even a year, and they're like, we need another title on this guy.
Yep. Pretty much.
And so I mean, I'd almost be shocked if Gunther doesn't hold the championship. If to me, it'd be very interesting if Gunther loses this championship in less than a year. I feel like, given his track record of long reigns, like you almost have to have this on him for a year plus, just to kind of how you take it off of him, or you just give really good matches, take it off for him for a month, and then put it back on for him for another 6 months. Take it off, put it back on for another 8 months. You could do that too, I guess. I don't know if It doesn't seem like that's the mindset of WWE right now. It's like to give multiple title reigns more of like meaningful long reigns, but who knows? That might change.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like we've gone on a lot of tangents. I was looking that up though while you were singing his praises, and I was like, oh, it's very interesting. Just didn't realize it was really that close. It's basically like dissolve UK. All right, here's Gunther. Put the title on him.
Yep, pretty much.
He needs something, and we'll have him hold it for almost 2 years. 15 months.
Yep. So. And if it was up to me, I would do an intercontinental. Good God, I'm dumb. A World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber, and have Gunther retain, and then at the end of the match, Brock Lesnar comes out and gets in his face, and that's your world title match at WrestleMania. I know Brock Lesnar had a world title match at WrestleMania. Really, we're doing that whole thing again, but this is not the same. Wow. This is not the same thing. No. It's not, because Gunther's going to brutalize him, and that will do more for Brock Lesnar, for Gunther's career, than facing CM Punk or facing Seth or facing any of those. Because guess what? When Brock, after WrestleMania, you know who's going to be around? Seth. You know who's going to be around? Punk. All those guys are still going to be around. They're all going to be here, barring catastrophic injury or something like that, or family stuff. But they're all going to be there. Brock's not going to be there. Let Brock have one last run.
Yep.
And there you go.
And also to that effect too, it's like we got force fed Brock and Roman so much before Roman was heel that we just got. I think that's part of the fatigue that we got of Brock. And then when we didn't have him for a little bit, it's like we want him back now because we finally appreciate him. Yeah. And it's like that'd be even just a high level appreciation for him. And it's like kind of like you're saying, from Ultimate Warrior to Goldberg to Brock. Well, now it's time for Brock to what we were hoping for last year from WrestleMania, and then other things, of course, externally, I think kind of probably delayed it. But I mean, I hope that's a plan. Whether it's Mania or Slam or Money in the Bank, whatever, I hope that's a plan for a big PLE for them.
I hope so too. Well, alrighty, Dan, that does it for the matches at Bash in Berlin. So what do you guys think is going to happen? Obviously, 5 total matches on the card. Do you think I think really the only one that we differed in was Rhea and Damian. So which one of us do you think is going to be right? Do you guys think Rhea and Priest are going to win? Do you guys think Dom and Liv are going to take it? Do you guys think any of our other picks were wrong? Let us know in the comments section. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. We will also be uploading next week. I'm not sure what we're going to be uploading next week. We're going to have to figure that out. But it's going to be fun regardless, so stick around for that. Thank you so very much for watching. We will see you all next time.